Hello, I'm Ryan F9 and these are my favorite sport and racing boots, from technical shorties all the way up to track-ready full heights. This is the very well-known Alpinestars S-MX 2. If you look in the closet of any sport bike rider in Canada, there's a decent chance you're going to find one of these. It's the go-to riding shoe for speedy motorcyclists. The S-MX 2 is about as technical as I can get without stepping up to a full-height boot. I have a removable TPU toe slider, I have steel shank soles for quick and responsive feeling on the controls, I have a very grippy toe shifter pad, that's pretty standard, and of course I don't have any laces here as well that might catch on my motorcycle. Protection-wise, this is a full-grain leather construction, which is fine. I mean, personally, I don't care too much about the abrasion resistance of boot materials. And footwear can afford to be so much thicker and stiffer than something like a jacket or a glove, so slide protection typically isn't an issue no matter what it's made of. Impact protection is more important, and for that we get this exoskeleton around the heel. No armor plating over the ankle bones though. That was a little bit disappointing to me because the boot does actually come up high enough to offer it. Beyond that though, I'd have to look towards something like the Alpinestars knee or shin protectors, because obviously a shorty boot isn't going to cover me up there. Fitment wise, these boots size a little bit too big. I wear a European 46 in pretty much everything, but these are a 45 and they fit me perfectly. I don't know why Alpinestars can never seem to get their sizing right, but I'm starting to get frustrated because I see this issue all the time with A-Stars gear. I do like how the back of the shoe is cut low though. That really frees up ankle movement, and the S-MX 2 is probably the easiest walking shoe on my list because of that. Alpinestars even gave us some tread on the sole, which is really rare on sport bike boots. Normally they have a totally featureless bottom to give a uniform contact feel with the foot peg. So to look at the tread on the S-MX 2 and see that there's some features there, you know that this is probably a good walker. So you might be wondering why I chose the S-MX 2 rather than the newer S-MX 3. And that's because the S-MX 3 sucks. And Alpinestars brought the leather all the way up to the lower shin with the newer version, which totally defeats the point of a riding shoe in my opinion. No, the S-MX 2 was the perfect storm. Alpinestars stumbled on the ideal combination of sport prowess and everyday practicality with this shoe, and they haven't nailed it since. Luckily though, there is still a load of these available on fortnine.ca, and they retail right around 220 bucks. Now, one step up in protection brings us to the icon Overlord. In many ways, I'm getting a lot more boot for the same price as the S-MX 2 here. I have a removable toe slider, I have a shifter pad, I have this TPU cockpit around the heel, and then I have a steel shank sole, so that's just like before. But Icon adds in armoring on both sides of the ankle bone, and because the boot comes up a little bit higher, I get the TPU armoring across the lower shin as well. That means the Overlord achieves a CE certification, which your local track might require. So how did Icon keep the price so low? Well, this isn't a full leather construction, and that probably saves some money. I see accordion stretch fabric on the front, around the back, and then there are these mesh panels, these mesh windows on the side. I've already mentioned that I'm not really concerned with the abrasion resistance on boots, so I don't mind the use of textile here. It probably makes the Overlord a little bit more breathable in the heat. It also probably makes it a little bit leaky in the rain, so it's pretty much a wash. The main thing I like about these boots is the weight. These guys come in at 760 grams, which is only 80 grams heavier than S-MX 2 shorty boot. And before checking them on the scale, I actually noticed how lightweight they felt just when I was walking around in them. I'm not a big fan of the Overlord's fitment though. In terms of length, it's spot on. I normally wear an 11.5. These are 11s and they're just a little bit snug at the toe. But in terms of width, it's weird. At the ball of my foot, the shoe feels really narrow and it pinches quite badly. But then up at the calf, it's so wide that even if I have the Velcro closed all the way, it's still too loose. I'm disappointed that I didn't fit the Overlord because I really like it. If your feet run narrower or you have bigger calves than mine, this is probably the smartest choice under $300. Now, the most technical I would go in sport boots would be Sidi's Vertigo. Immediately, I can see how much more this offers in terms of hardware. We have this removable toe slider, we have this active vent on the side next to it, and then at the back, this heel cockpit is a 3-compound construction, so it has better progressive impact absorption than anything we've seen. It has removable parts as well. These malleolus plates also going to be removable, sturdier than anything else we've seen too. The Achilles protector is new entirely, up around the back of the calf, also removable parts, also very hard and sturdy. And then we have this big shin shield to close us off. Now, believe it or not, this is actually the middle of the road in Sidi's lineup. They have the Cobra one step down, and then the ST, which is elevated one step above. For me though, even if I had 560 bucks for the ST, I'd still take the Vertigo at $439. I mean, I'm no racer, and this level of technicality is pretty much perfect for aggressive street riding and for the occasional track day. Plus, it stays more comfortable and it stays easier to walk in. There are two keys to this boot. One of them is the Lorica construction, which is a type of synthetic leather that is stronger, more water resistant, more breathable, and lighter than real cowhide. That means this boot weighs an average 982 grams despite having an above average number of hard parts. And the other thing about this shoe is Sidi's Techno VR system, which can adjust the calf circumference up to 5 centimeters. Just lift the red part of this circle and then twist it to ratchet down the calf. Fitment-wise, the Vertigo is on point. I normally wear a European 46, and these 46s fit well. There might be a smidge too much room in the toe, so I'm tempted to try a 45 and see how they break in, but either way, it's not too far off. Weirdly enough, the Vertigo is the most technical boot on my list, but it's also the easiest boot to put on. And the zipper is totally full length, so I can officially throw away my shoehorn. My one complaint with the Vertigo, though, is the shape. I'd love to see a little bit more of an aggressive profile. It's totally fine for riding any stock sport bike, but if I'm on rear sets, maybe I'd like to have a little bit more of an acute angle at the ankle. Now, I'm going to close this off with the weather options. The Icon Overlord we saw earlier was vented-ish, and those Sidis were waterproof-ish. But if I live in Vancouver, or if my feet tend to melt in the heat, maybe I want something a little bit more purpose-built. Enter the Alpinestars S-MX 6. On the whole, not an exceptional boot. Similar purpose to the Sidi Vertigo, aggressive street riding, occasional track day if I want to hit it. Similar synthetic leather construction, same CE certification. But this guy has way fewer hard parts, it has less adjustability features, and in my opinion, it's a little bit chubby looking. For $300, I'll save up a little bit longer to get the Vertigos. However, the S-MX 6 has one trick up its sleeve that could win me over. Options. This is the waterproof version and this is the vented version. The waterproof boot uses a special liner to pull off the feet of dry feet. It's not Gore-Tex or anything like that, but probably good enough for several hours in the rain. The vented version, on the other hand, is all about perforations. On the outside of the foot, up the front, along the back, everywhere. So it's a paradox. The regular S-MX 6 is nothing special to me, but if I want a waterproof or a vented boot, then the S-MX 6 waterproof and vented versions are actually the best that I know of. Fitment-wise, you'd expect the S-MX 6 to run large just like the S-MX 2 did. But this is Alpinestars. I mean, they choose fitment schemes by throwing a dart at a sizing chart. So, I usually wear an 11.5. I'm a 10.5 in the S-MX 2, and wouldn't you know it, I'm back to an 11.5 in the S-MX 6. So that's it for my favorite sport and racing boots. If I don't mind sacrificing safety for walkability, give me the S-MX 2. If I want protection on a budget, give me the Icon Overlord. I'll take the Sidi Vertigo if I want the best aggressive street riding boot that's also track ready. And I'll take the S-MX 6 waterproof and vented versions for something in the rain or heat, even though the regular S-MX 6 doesn't really wow me. Product links are down there, comments below that, and thank you guys very much for watching.